Let's talk to Edmund Gemmell. He's leader of the Climate Party, which is a green conservative political party, aims to target MPs who obstruct climate action. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. So, a green conservative political party. So do you believe that net zero is a desirable political target and an achievable political target?
I think let's just start with the expression green conservative. I mean, we call ourselves pro-business, pro-climate. And it's all about getting into the right direction in order to lead this new industrial revolution. I mean, it's an utter load of rubbish to have weak leaders that are aiming us at 2050. We lose ground to China, hand over fist. We lose ground to Germany. We need to bring those targets forward, get serious about these.
Sorry, bring those targets forward. So you're saying net zero by 2050 is too late. So you're up there with Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil, except you don't go and bother people on the streets or at snooker matches.
Julia, that's not a great way to be phrasing it, but we absolutely don't go and bother people at snooker matches and stick ourselves to the road. That's why we're engaged, as you so often advocate, right within the political process, getting out there, campaigning, talking to people and convincing them of our point of view. But you don't actually have to have, an economics degree from Oxford or Cambridge, Julia, to actually see that by bringing our targets forward, focusing our national mission on it, working on it, we can actually make money doing this. I mean, currently, we don't have any industry in this country. We've been offshoring it for decades and decades and decades. We don't have a national mission to get a resurgence of our industry or to get our.
Well, industry is not going to come back while energy is so expensive.
Yeah, but energy is going to become... Look, create the national mission. Let's bring it forward to 2030. Let's get ourselves focused on...
So the whole thing, not just a ban on the sale of new diesel and petrol cars. You're saying bring the whole thing forward. We have to be net zero carbon emissions by 2030.
Absolutely.
How are we going to do that? How are our lives going to change, Edmund?
Let's bring it forward. Let's get a national mission going. Let's not look at this 27 years away absolute load of rubbish target where we seed off all the opportunities, both in industry and everything else, to do it. I do a lot of talks in the city, and when I talk to financiers in the city and to pension funds and all the others...
And when they finish laughing, what do they say?
1 second. They don't laugh, actually, Julia. They listen in attentively. I know you might be surprised at that. And what they then do is they're talking about, look, that gives us certainty. If you give us certainty, we can start pouring money into it. You've got this fuzzy-wuzzy, 27 years away target. We keep changing on everything. Climate Change Committee keeps commenting about the fact that government isn't even serious on the targets it's got. You see our wishy-washy, wavering leaders currently. Rishi Sunak doesn't know if he's coming or going. Who should he be listening to?
Okay. I understand your point, Edmund. But you're saying, look, the target is the right target. It's just not soon enough. And uncertainty. I agree with you on certainty. Whatever the situation is, should be certain. And there's certainly a lot of wibbly-wobbling going on. I would say this is a good thing. I would like more certainty. I'd like the government to say the net zero target is both undesirable and unachievable by 2050 and indeed at any point realistically this century, and we're going to drop it and go for economic prosperity. So I'm with you on the economic prosperity, but we're not doing it with net zero.
Can I come to you on this? That's utter and absolute rubbish. Look, it's quite obvious whether we believe in climate change or not, Julia.
You don't have to believe in science.
No, hang on. But whether you and I may have different views on certain aspects of the science, let's say, but whatever we can see is we can see that the whole world is actually going towards net zero at varying paces.
No, it's not. China's not going to net zero. India's not going to net zero. Africa's not going to net zero. South Africa.
150 countries in the world are setting targets.
Everyone who attends the climate summit, Edmund. Everyone attends a climate summit and they all say all the right things and then they go on and get on with what they're doing. You know, the EU is even pulling back from it. China, by the way, apparently really big on renewables, biggest number of wind farms in the world, also building a new coal-fired power station every week.
Oh, yeah, they're building new coal-fired power stations.
And you know why? So they can take all our industry.
But, Julia, so what they're actually saying with their coal-fired power stations is that's their backup.
It's not their backup, it's what they're using to make the wind turbines.
Julia, often you talk about we need the backup here. You often talk about the fact that renewables aren't consistent. The wind doesn't, blow all the time. We don't have solar all the time. You often talk about that. If we actually have a national mission with a proper focus and bring forward all of our targets so that we get our investment targeted, our innovation targeted, and we focus on it, we start to see changes. I mean, this country, just as an example, has massive tide and wave opportunities that we don't invest in. Why don't we invest in them? Is because we're still going out and getting more oil and gas licenses going, pretending that that's going to make any difference to our energy security and energy prices, which we know it isn't anyway. And in addition to that, we're not investing in things that could actually provide us the certainty that you so often go out on the air and ask for.
Yeah, okay. Look, I would love us to have big infrastructure projects, given that we can't even build a railway line between Birmingham and London in a sort of 20-year period. We can't build a third runway at Heathrow. You think that somehow before 2030, let me just check the date. Oh, it's 2023. We're going to build enough nuclear power stations, wind farms onshore, offshore, wave, solar powered. We're going to have all of this stuff done, all of the chargers for the cars. We're going to build. I mean, Sarah, you're living in cloud cuckoo land, Edmund. I mean, I'd love to take what you're on in the morning. I just got a cup of tea. I don't know what's in your tea, but it's very strong.
Well, OK, I have my coffee strong in the morning, but I'm not sure that's it. I mean, in terms of what we're doing, Julia, all you guys want to delay us. Look.
No, I don't want to delay. I don't want to delay. I don't want the target there at all. The target is insane and immoral.
When we were pressed, Julia, in World War II, we had to do it. We moved everything to change the economy to achieve it. And actually what we did, we had ships we were building in 2.5 years before the start of World War II. We built them in 2 to 4 weeks.
We were at war.
That is what you can do when you focus.
We're not at war.
We are now in an economic war where we are paying everybody else for everything. We have sticky inflation. We have a cost of living crisis. We haven't got enough money for our NHS. We don't have enough money to invest in our police. We don't have money for anything. Why? Because we don't make any stuff.
Yeah. No, look, there's so much, Edmund, there is so much about what you're saying that I agree with. I would love to have a national mission. I would love that. I'd love to us to get our act together, get the stuff, get the infrastructure done.
You can't join us now, Julia.
I love all of that, apart from the fact that the aim that you're going towards is the wrong aim. Net zero is going to make us poorer. The only way we can achieve that is if we just offshore all of our jobs and import everything.
Absolute toddle. We've spent 40 or 50 years offshoring at the moment. We need to onshore now. It's utterly balmy. Every other country's going there. We've got 4 countries in Europe with earlier targets than us, including the highly industrialised relative to Europe, anyway, Germans, which have a target in front of us.
I'm sorry, Edmund, the German economy is in the toilet. The German economy they spent 12% of GDP importing fuel last year. They're reopening coal mines, for goodness sake, man. You're reading headlines. What politicians say on telly is not what they're actually doing. I don't believe for a moment the net zero targets are going to be achieved by anyone and will achieve anything or even not be dropped. I think that the reality check of this, and we saw this with the Uxbridge by-election, this stuff doesn't survive an election. We're going to have an election. I think it's in Holland. They've got elections coming up where this is going to be a sort of a pro-net zero, anti-net zero coalition. And I'm pretty sure that is going to be the decider. And a lot of politicians are going to look at that and go, uh-oh, it turns out the voters aren't on board. You know why? Because we don't want to be poorer. We don't want to be told we can't drive our cars. We don't want to be told we can't go on a holiday. We don't want to be told we can't heat our homes. We don't want to be told what we can and can't eat. We don't want to live less good lives because of some lunatic climate nonsense hysteria from an eco-cult telling us the world's on fire.
No. Look, we need to follow presenters who go and talk about the Industrial Revolution, providing us happier, healthier lives and providing us all the possibilities and prosperity of the future, which I believe you're one of them. And this is the new Industrial Revolution. I don't understand why we're even talking about it. It is so obvious that the world is going in that direction. And we have 2 choices. Stay at the back with no targets, your idea, oh my goodness, that's even worse in terms of certainty for us in this country, or have a target that's 2050, which is fairly pathetic anyway.
All right. Edmund, I know we're going to talk to you about this again. It's been very interesting. I definitely want to have whatever's in your coffee. Thank you so much for joining us. Really interesting perspective. Edmund Gemmell, leader of the Climate Party.